integration is such an important part. Whatever you are in a transcendental state, whatever you're channeling, through psychedelics, through plant medicine, through songs, through mental health issues, the most important part is integration. The integration is what you need to, practice afterwards, to process it first and then coming with the creative tools how to integrate, how to make it part of my life. And while you are in your imagination, depends on which mission you are while you're journeying and which realm it is. You need to see through the darkness to connect the things that you might not be connecting while you are processing it through your mind. That's why it's very important through the transcendental ecstatic states, you are operating in completely different realms. I want to do like a spread my wings, my hands.
Let's open some wings. Thank you. Yeah, it's one of my favorite songs. I've never shared it on a podcast before like that.
Wow, thank you. Yeah, what I found is it's definitely a traditional song, right?
Yeah.
Just I found that it was the structure. There's some similarities between our traditional songs, but modern, and it's modernized with guitar. It has kind of verse and chorus, very melodic, and it took me to my culture. So there are a lot of similarities between different cultures in the songs, and one of my visions is I think we are connected through wildlife. Like we have eagles, you have eagles, right? So it's a lot of things in our lives are connected through animals and birds that migrate, that see more than us.
And we're going to be diving into some of the most beautiful things in this episode regarding opening our throats. Before that, Snow Raven, welcome on the show. I would love to ask you, what are you most excited about right now in your life?
Oh, very good question. This year started with an amazing vision. I've been carrying for 1.5 years the idea of how I can make, how I can create a platform where people can come together and being gathered, and also they come to open up their throat chakra to liberate their oppressed voices, because the big oppressors of our voices, it's us. It's not someone external. It's us to ourselves. So I was thinking how we can, come together and sing as a one collective, consciousness, and reach in, sitting in almost sort of, ritual. And we're working right now. Me and my team, we're working now, creating an app, creative and educational app that brings indigenous teachers from all over the world to share their knowledge and wisdom and techniques and rituals about how the human's body is used as an instrument to bring our voices to the world.
I think that's more needed now than ever. And you've also said that your vision is to rise to this epic global challenge. And you hold the vision of all people bringing their spiritual technology, leadership, and consciousness together into a single unified heart. And that we're right now at the intersection of a tipping point. And I'd love to have your overview, your Raven's overview of what's going on in the world right now regarding this epic global challenge. What is humanity facing, and how can we get back to that unified single heart?
Yeah, what is happening in the world? I think I'm sure a lot of people are feeling inside. So I perceive the world in a way that it is like mirroring what is external and internal. When you close eyes, you can go internal, right? And then when you open, you go external. So it's so interconnected. What is happening there, it affects here, and what is happening here, it affects outside. So the culture where it come from, called Oyunahan, the Sakha culture, and then it has Oyunahan. So Oyunahan means Sakha shamanism. And in Sakha shamanism, one of the main concepts is the three worlds: lower, middle, and higher. So the lower world, it's a realm of fear, survival, primal energy. The middle world is a realm of love. It's a tangible world. And in the higher world, it's a realm of gratitude. So what is humanity is facing, in my personal experience, is going through the lower world, through the fear. And what we need to do, we need to face that fear. And then a fear of almost losing our comfortable life. It's something that like uncertainty, unknown. The darkness, it's unknown. And we don't know clearly what can even happen in 5 minutes. And it's life itself. Everything is designed in this life in a way that we don't know what can happen even in a minute. But our society lived in a very rigid, righteous way, that we know everything, that we can build comfortable life in big cities and disconnect ourselves from our roots and from the nature. And then that era is shaking right now. And it is almost like a crisis that we are seeing outside also happening inside. And then quite often, as I mentioned before, it is connected. So I've been experiencing that inside of myself. That's almost like going through the lower world, through challenges. And then once you hit the button, once you learn how to embrace that darkness, embrace fear, then there's always a light. So it's life all the time. It's like a dance of light and darkness. And in this concept of three worlds, the middle world, the tangible world where we live, where our physical body is, it's actually like we see it as a dance of higher world and the lower world together. So it's a constant pain and pleasure dancing with each other. So that's, I think, what we're experiencing. And there should be some paradigm shift. We need to I don't know, it's happening slowly, which is also okay. But I was just thinking the other day, what if all the people simultaneously just start singing, and look what can happen. Maybe we will open a portal. Or what if like billions and billions people just all of a sudden jump from one loop, one cycle to another, because we complete that cycle. Yeah, the life would have been completely different. And I think it's just very natural that it's happening slowly. It's happening as it should be. There is a speed of Earth. There's a speed Earth related to the other speeds of the other planets, and of course the sun. And it's all going with own beautiful order. So, and then just surrendering to that, it's also beautiful. And whatever it is in this lifetime, if we are facing the fear, gonna hit the bottom, why not? Then the light will always shine through the darkness.
And I love that idea of gathering. Imagine a world where we all got together and sung a song and opened a portal together. You said that we have to turn back to our first songs, the songs of our ancestors. And that is there, you carry a very beautiful lineage from Arctic Siberia that I would love to highlight for people. The songs that were sung in your culture that you were learning, that was passed down to you from your grandmother, that then you were able to go into the shamanic ceremonies and guide these songs as well. What is the importance of song in ancient cultures and in shamanic cultures right now?
Oof, very beautiful question. I always was thinking, what is the life looks like? What is the universe? And one of the answers just touched my heart. It just fell down from somewhere, like a higher realms. I feel that like boom, enlightenment. And the answer was, it's like a song. So everything has own rhythm. Everything has own tune. And a rhythm and tune, it becomes like a melody, and it's like becomes like a song. So what I've experienced is in some of the journeys, experiencing the life, it became like me first listening, being able to listen to hearing this rhythms, like tapping with that, and then being able to hear that melody. And more you learn that song, more you are able to stay in a certain realm, and each realm has own song. There are many songs coming from different realms, realm seen and unseen. And then there's something global, like a big one song. It's like, I would say it's like a universe, and the universe orchestrates this. Sorry, what was the question? I wanted to bring it to the...
Yeah, and speaking on the lineage that was passed down to you from the songs of your ancestors, your grandmother had a big role in that. Right now, you're sort of carrying the torch of those songs. So what are you finding in spreading this into a new, I guess, landscape where you're hitting the mainstream as well? You're hitting, all of these souls that may have not been exposed to any shamanic wisdom in their life. So how has that been to carry that torch?
So these songs of ancestors, they exist in every single person. And I described before, it never been away from us. We are in fact in that song. We're part of that, rhythm and melody, and being able to hear, meaning being able to reconnect to your ancestors. And we've been, as a humanity, we've been a long time disconnected from that roots, because there are certain, in the world, there are certain ego, and then they would like to take control, and that, egotistic part of the human brain sometimes takes over. But the songs they're like ultimate. They're just there, and once we hear that, we're able to sing it out. And I see it as something improvisational, something that you even haven't been taught. Like my grandmother taught me how to sing Sakha songs. But there's something in a human, when you are in ecstatic state, or your portals open up and you all of a sudden comes out with your own melody. And it's so unique to each person. And I call it improvisation. So the word improvisation in English, it has a very special meaning for me, that even has a deeper roots, deeper meaning to that. Just a simple English word. It's actually you connecting to your ancestors. And if we, I just dream about if every single person in this world start to bring their own ancestor songs, and being able to express him or herself freely in this world, and equally honored and respected. That would have been just so beautiful. And I think that what is happening in the world, we're returning back to the kind of curiosity to look at the people's individuality. We need more stories. We need to hear more people. We need to, create the balance between artificial and natural, because this is going to be like AI and everything becoming trendy. There have been a lot of topics discussed, a lot of scary visions, but it's okay. This is the one direction, and it will be all the time the other direction, which I'm very, very curious about, that will balance it. And this should happen through the songs of our ancestors. And I truly believe that everyone has own ancestors, like own lineage. And we're all indigenous to the Mother Earth. Our ancestors, ancient ancestors, were hunters.
I'd love to stay on that state of improvisation, because I would even dare to call it channeling as well. When you're improvising, if you're not prepared with all the notes, the intellect mind flooding you with information, what comes through that is straight information from the field, from the source. You call it the web of life. Yeah. You mentioned the word portal there, and I heard that you recently started opening your portal more and more, activating your nervous system. So I'd love to understand, or I'm really curious about that process, what it was like for you to open up to this web of life for your own personal song to start coming through.
Yeah, the web of life, such a beautiful description in English, something that was designed and like a collective data of the entire universe. That word actually came from Chief Seattle, native to American continent. And Chief Seattle has such a famous quotes there on the internet. And so the web of life, I already had the feeling of what is that, being back in my culture, like being back in my homeland, but finding out that in English, and finding out that already, there were people here in this continent also knowing what is that feeling, experiencing it, and calling it as a web of life. So that the famous quotes of Chief Seattle became a song, almost like a pop song, with chorus and verses, with chorus and verse, with Sakha language. One verse was in Sakha language, so it was almost an initiation for me. So the web of life has such a meaning in my heart, in a way that you can connect to that web of life using your body as a device, instead of using your smartphone as a device and connecting to the web of internet. So the web of life versus web of internet, there's a huge difference. The web of internet has limited data, and we've created this little friend, or even extension of our brain, that does a lot of things for us. And then when we rely too much on machine, I feel that part of my brain just goes dormant. The neural patterns that I was using before, it's no longer, I'm not using it. And so I don't use GPS of my head that I used to do back in my homeland anymore. I rely on this because it's hard to coordinate in the city, the artificially created place, our shelter. There's so many names, so many things going on, a lot of distractions. So you have to navigate yourself. And machines are very good in that. But I think having that skill, the natural skill that our ancestors were carrying, not allowing that to stop in your generation, but even transform it, and even expand it and connect it with other neural patterns, that is very critical. I think as a human beings, we need to stay dominant than machines. And I think machines will never, ever get into point of creativity that human body and brain can do, because we're connected to web of life. Machines connected are to the web of internet that is created by our brain, and human brain is trying to learn about the brain. It's everything that we've created in this world came from this, the gift that we carry. And I think my curiosity is how we can use the other potentials that's sitting here in this human brain. And creativity is just such a great, one of the great tools to access to hidden treasures of human potential.
Yeah. And regarding human potential, a lot of that is limited by our own actual personal beliefs that were passed down to us from generation to generation. There's even that one story of this man that, you know, in the scientific community, it was impossible for the human being to run a mile under 5 minutes. Your whole body would collapse, your heart would collapse, it would stop working and you'd die. And this man, he broke the 4-minute mile, and he was able to do that. And now, because he changed the field, he changed the web, the information that is uploaded to the web, now so many other people are able to run a 4-minute mile. And a lot of it even just has to do by witnessing another do it. And, you know, from a very young age, you've been surrounded by shamans that had extraordinary capabilities and were able to tap into realms, or able to tap into gifts, intuition, creativity, extrasensory abilities. And I'd love to stretch people's belief of what is possible when we talk about this topic of human potential. What were the people from your native culture doing that right now you're not seeing around in America, that you're not seeing in the US, that we've lost maybe because of our devices or other things?
Yeah, thank you for asking this question. It's something that I really cherish in my heart. The shamans of, let me actually show it to you, one of the great portraits that I carry. Like, it's literally in front of my little studio and on my desk. This is Fyodor Polygus. He was a shaman. He was a Tungus shaman. Actually, the word shaman comes from that language, saman, a person who knows. So this powerful portrait is such a reminder and inspiration for me to hear the echoes of their voice, to feel their presence. And they're always next. It's almost like they're next to us, they're following us and protecting us and negotiating us when we're in trouble between the spirits realms. And so the Sakha culture was impacted by two major waves, I would say, historically. On the 17th century, Russians discovered us. And this vast land in the Arctic Circle was not heavily populated at all. Not at all.
But it's huge.
It's huge. It's the largest area in Russia. And
it would be the 6th largest country if it was independent. Wow.
Exactly. And that country, that it wasn't even country, it was just a land. No rules of, okay, this is my territory, this is yours. So Sakha people were living in the middle of deep taiga. The settlement place is called Alas, and it's like an open, vast area with a lake in it that a family would fish and hunt in the forest. So they were living like that, very disconnected from each other, far away from each other. And they were living like a clans. So, and then in the 17th century, those lands were discovered by Russians, and there were some, baptizing happening. The Orthodox Christianity was entering my culture. Then the second wave in 1930s, the shamans were persecuted and sent to jail if they don't sign the paper by saying that they're charlatans and they're not healer, they're damaging people or something like that. Very, very, very aggressive and violent way to cut the roots. So they were burning their regalias, their drums. But Sakha shamans and also other reindeer herder tribal shamans like Chukchi, Yukagir, Itelmen, Koryak, Evenk people, they all survived through secretly healing people, because it was something that people of Arctic, even by the time there were medical care system inserted in their lifestyle, seeing shaman never stopped. Shamans, even their regalias and drums were burned and taken away. They never stopped singing, never stopped healing. That's how the culture survived. And if we speak about the human potential, the shamans, the Sakha shamans, are incredibly multi-talented people, but also they're so mysterious that they would do an incredible things that you're almost unbelievable things, that they would just cut their head off, take the liver out and eat it, chew the very hot coal. They would make the wolf or bear come inside of the house, or all of a sudden people will experience, people who were in the ceremony would experience the water coming through the window, and then they would see a lot of fish. And there are a lot of scary, but like it's all about very human, raw, and very nature-based, almost like a hallucinative effects. But the question, is it a hallucination? Why people will simultaneously see the same thing at the same time all together, and it's without any plant medicine. Mm-hmm. This is a crazy part, because there are a lot of shamanic cultures that in the nature, in their environment, they have something that they ingest, like they take it through themselves, and that spirit of plant medicine guides them through the realms. But Sakha shamans never had that, but they had to go through the mental health. So it's more like, look at it more like a stretched long time, a slow-mo, like almost like a bad trip that goes for months, that lasts for months, years, and even decades. And a true shaman is the person who learns how to deal with the heavy symptoms of heavy mental health issues, such as epilepsy, schizophrenia, seizures. It's something that they might even die in the process of initiation, the rite of passage, and we call it a teni process. So there are a lot of unbelievable things that shamans were doing to the society, to the community, and then depends on them, their visions, the community would survive upon. That's how my ancestors survived, because of great shamans leading them and helping them go through the devastating pain of cold and dark winters. It can go to minus 96. I can't imagine how my grandfather was living in that
without electricity.
Without electricity. I was born with electricity. I was born in a village where my grandfather brought, with other men, brought the electricity. They were literally like building the poles and putting the line through.
You had the 5-star hotel version.
Exactly. I had a luxurious life. That's what I say. We had electricity. But he didn't have that at all. And I can't imagine, all of these children were dying there. The role of woman was giving more than 10 children, and then half of them will die and half of them will survive. And then that's something you call natural selection. And the survived kids, I mean, those people would go over 100. So it's the longevity of life was incredible. Even, they were eating meat and having dairy food. I was born and raised like that. Till 23, I was eating meat 3 times a day: breakfast, lunch, dinner, all meat-based food and dairy. But it was coming from the animal that my grandfather was taking care, like a family member, basically put so much love and preparing food throughout the year, the whole season, and I just miss that time so much.
You were actually initiated in your own way, because when you started sharing your music to the world, you were gifted a drum, if I recall correctly. And in your culture, you can't play the drum unless the spirits give you the blessing. And in order to do that, you had to meet your 12th sky shaman, Savay.
Uh-huh.
I'd love for you to tell us that story of how you were gifted the ability to now be able to share the drum frequency to the world.
Wow. I'm first of all amazed, and thank you so much. I really appreciate that you know the names, and you know my path. So,
of course,
Savay, he was an incredible shaman of our culture. He, unfortunately or fortunately for other realms, he passed away not quite long ago after my this ceremony where I received permission to play that drum. It happened when I was 20 years old. I'm 34, so like 14 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I went with my existing drum to the ceremony and asked, and he gladly said, yes, I will include that in my ceremony. And then all of a sudden during the ceremony, he said, I would like to do something for you. Something extra came while I was in trance. Would you mind to find an what is that called? Needle, something that you saw, and a white thread. Put it through, tie the end, and give it to me. I found it. I even have pictures, and also a documentary movie was shoot of that ceremony. So that movie is going to come out hopefully soon. It was different company that was doing it. I have no control of those materials, but something different happened there, something extra, additional. And in my own surprise, I was so young at that time, he took that needle, swallowed it. After 40 minutes or 1 hour, we swallowed it and started to, just drum and dance and sing. And then after 40 minutes or 1 hour, I don't know how long the time passed, he threw it back. Like he really almost like throw it. And then the needle, the thread was
tied
around that needle in so accurate, like in so beautiful
like
way. Yeah, it was so masterfully tied around. Mm-hmm. And the thread was white. And he said, look, this is the sign that I cleaned your path from the future sickness. I saw in my trance that there was a big sickness in your life that was awaiting for you, and I blocked it. If thread came dirty, that meant I couldn't clean it, because shamans are not always not always healing or not always achieving what they're asked for or what they would like to do for one who's suffering. They might even, cannot fight, cannot come to the positive results. And I was, wow, what is this? And it's mysterious. I have no idea what was that. But I do have pictures of that moment. I do have a footage of that. I have such a serious face there, and then serious and
You're like in awe.
in awe, yeah. And wow, I clearly remember that moment, like just seeing. And then he gave it to me. He put it, wrapped it in a piece of fabric, and he said, "Bury this." So I had buried it. So that was my very, very significant, not only initiation, it was also healing process. And after that, I started to play drum. And drum became my best friend. It had a female energy. It was made by reindeer leather. And that drum took me all over, like Europe, Africa, to the United States.
It wanted to be played.
Yes. And I don't want to know what happened. After this long journey of having this beautiful friend, and then in my culture we call it horse, so you can ride and visit different realms. So
the drum is called horse?
Yes. Is a metaphor. We see it as a horse. And so what happened is my drum was stolen, and my wolf-skinned regalia also was stolen right before my first ever a demonstrative healing session in Beverly Hills. I just moved to the United States, and I was invited to this big mansion, and they invited me to see my culture and do more like a demonstrative, not, like serious healing session. And my drum was just stolen on a way, and under certain circumstances, and I was crying for 1 week. I couldn't believe that it was gone. And I tried to put, it was just in front of our garage where we're staying, and it's just I wrote something like, if you saw this, if you took it, this is not a thing to sell, just return it back. I can even give you money. And I put my phone number on, no results. I wonder where is that now. But it's just incredibly taught me that I needed to give something that I care the most, I cherish the most, something very dear to my heart, to this land. I had to give it as a sacrifice in order to receive something back in the future, because this land was prayed by, there were a lot of ceremonies made by Native Americans, the local people here, and the local spirits. So in the shamanic world, there's always a sacrificing element that you have to give something. And then we have that a lot in our ceremonies. Ceremony of connecting to spirit of nature, spirit of fire, spirit of water. You give food that you cook. And there are certain, like song, toyuk you do, and certain piece of food that you give. And then piece of, the beverage, white beverage, kumus, it's a horse milk. So, yeah, there's this concept of giving and receiving and giving, and making it tangible through the rituals. And when you don't do that, if something huge, that huge area you're entering, the environment makes you to do that.
That's in Latin American culture, in shamanism, they call that the great offering. And when you give up something that you love the most, what came back to you on the other side? When you gave up that drum, what came into your life after giving that up?
It is still coming. It's a long journey. Yeah. It's a welcoming and acceptance of the local spirits, that I'm able to sing here, that I'm able to drum here, that I'm able to gather rituals. So yeah, so in the spiritual realms, it is quite different than just in a rigid capitalistic, world that we're living in, where we, like simply tear people apart and stepping on people's throats, and it's a very interesting that we don't notice the movement of the energy. There always this reciprocity, giving and receiving, and I think I'm going to receive and go this path for the rest of my life. It's not, I don't know what is awaiting for me in the future. I'm feeling that it didn't happen yet, but it's in the process. It's slowly going, and I love when it happens slowly, not like a sudden thunderstorm in a sunny day. I like when it's gentle.
I think a lot of people needed to hear that, including myself, because most of the times we want the seeds of our tree that we planted to grow immediately. But then, if we have a tree that grew from one day to the next, we don't appreciate the time it took for it to become what it is. And I'd love to know, for you, what is it like to see the world through the raven's eye?
It's one of my unforgettable dreams that I ever had. In fact, when I go to sleep, I always dream. It's so rare that I don't have a dreams. It's blank, like I don't remember dreams or something. And I actually feel so relaxed, like so rest if I don't have a dreams. But when I have a dreams, it feels like I close my eyes from this reality and I wake up to another. And most of it happened back in my homeland. So one of the unforgettable dreams was looking through the raven eye was me flying above my homeland, above my grandfather's house, as a raven, and looking at it literally like in this video that you played, like flying like this and soaring, because raven can soar. It's the only one from corvid family. Crows cannot soar, but ravens figured out how to do that. So it was just such a beautiful experience to see my homeland. And I guess it also comes from the being homesick. I think the reason I always visit my homeland through my dreams, and most of my American friends go with me in my dream, all the actions with them happen in my village, which is really incredible. It's almost like a psychedelic.
You give him the whole tour, the house tour.
Yeah.
This is where I cooked.
I wish it was that kind of dream. Sometimes it's just so how to say, so unusual, like so non-trivial, and sometimes I need to find the answers for the symbol. It's very symbolic too.
Yeah, dreams are like that. Dreams are like that.
Yeah, like almost like a giving new shoes, or laying down on my grandfather's bed, or the form of the house, the shape of the house might change too. There are a lot of elements like a lava, water coming, earthquakes being there. So it's like a lot of action movie, like action dreams.
So SUOR, you've developed a very unique ability to mimic the sounds of animals, of birds, of all different kinds of species in the animal kingdom. And I'm imagining it from the sense of like, if you're able to mimic a language, for example, if I'm able to mimic French for a while and I get to see how they move their body and what they're saying with the words, I can sort of understand what they're saying. Have you ever had profound conversations with some of these animals that you've learned to mimic while you're doing their sounds?
Oh yeah, of course, with ravens. Profound conversations in terms of you spend more time and you have full attention, and there is something coming, feedback coming from them, and then there's a dialogue. So most of them could be scared or could be hostile, like they can self-defense. So it's better to leave them alone. So you have to be very careful when you enter their kingdom. It's not like, oh, I learned this language, I know I like doing this sound, now you listen and answer me. So it's very, very precise, very intimate and vulnerable state, being with nature, being connected to nature. And the ravens were very, very significant in my life since I was a child. I was feeding them with raw meat, and they're always, fly above me when I arrive to my homeland. And they're basically everywhere I go in this planet Earth. They're spread wide. They could be in a tropical island, and they could be in a snowy, cold Arctic Siberia. An incredible animal, and we call it cool instead of bird. Chichach, keter. Keter is more accurate in Sakha. Bird, and cool, it's animal. So we call it cool in a way, like respecting it. Because quite often the ravens become a totem animal. The conversations also with cuckoo bird, oof, that is
they're funny or they're more intense.
Cuckoo birds are also, they assist the shamans, and they are quite often in my culture, if cuckoo bird sits in the top of the roof of someone's house and does non-stop cuckooing for a long time, meaning one of the family member is going to die soon. So they predict someone's death, which doesn't make it fun. So cuckoo birds, I had a very, very good conversation in Moscow, not in my homeland, but it was in one of the big parks where the cuckoo bird, after me talking to one of the Sakha shamans in my prayer, by hugging the tree, I needed to kind of have his help in one negotiation in this reality. So I was just doing that, and after that, it was an immediate reaction. I could see the cuckoo bird sound, and I started just to cuckoo back. I took it as a sign that this shaman, Konstantin Cherkov, he came to me, and my entire, about 1 hour going back home on a trail, the cuckoo bird was in front of me, just ahead of me, flying from one tree to another tree, sitting and cuckooing, and it knew where I am going to, and it ended up being on the top of the tree by the house where I was living at that time, and did couple cuckoo and flew away. It was incredible communication.
Wow.
It was such unbelievable. And I had my music partner at that time, so he saw that, and his daughter was there, and his daughter was like, wow, this bird is answering to you. It was just really, I almost couldn't believe afterwards, because it was like a trance. The whole hour was for me like a trance. And then when it flew away, then I realized, wow, what was that? Yeah. So
that just shows, that nature is always responding to us, and we're part of nature.
It does. We just don't notice it, or we don't know how to communicate with that, and we are able to communicate and to benefit from that. Yes, totally.
Beautiful family. Emilio here. I just wanted to take a quick moment to acknowledge what it really means for you to be here. What it means for you to be taking the time out of your day to tell the universe, this is what I value. This is what I want more of. I want to cultivate in my environment, in my space, in my mind, my heart, and my soul. Conversations that will uplift me, that will raise my consciousness, that will raise my frequency, that will allow me to get to know more about myself and the world around me. That is why you're here. That is what I believe that we're doing here. And I will never be the type of person to tell you, subscribe now, do it, press the button. I do not want to be that person, but I do want to acknowledge that the size of the community, how we grow, is directly correlated to the people that we can attract on this show, the beautiful conversations that we can have, and also the resources that we can pour into making this a movement rather than just a podcast. And I need your help, and I need everyone else's help. I cannot do this alone. And from looking at our analytics, 45% of the people watching this are subscribed. That means 65% are not. And this is an invitation, because a subscription to a channel on this platform is telling the platform, this is what I want more of. Feed me more of this, because this interests me. This fills my soul. This nourishes me. This fills my mind. And I hope that we can continue doing that for you. If you made it up to this point in this video, that's why we're here. And it's a joy to be able to be doing this. This is my dream job right here. You guys are making it possible. So from my heart to yours, thank you to everyone who has subscribed to the channel. And thank you for being here. It's truly a blessing. And I can't wait to continue building and growing with you guys. We're just getting started. See you in the next one. Now, what's your process when you're hearing these sounds? Mm-hmm. What's your process of integrating them into your spiritual technology and being able to reproduce or mimic that sound, and even understand in a way through the vibration of the sound, the meanings or the symbologies of the sound? What's your process for that?
This is very good. Thank you so much for bringing the word integration. This is another English word after improvisation I would mention, which is naturally occurring in this conversation. Integration is such an important part. Whatever you are in a transcendental state, whatever you're channeling, through psychedelics, through plant medicine, through songs, through mental health issues, doesn't matter. The most important part is integration. And the integration is what you need to, practice afterwards to bring it into to process it first, and then filtering it, coming with the creative tools, how to integrate, right? It's like creative tools, how to make it part of my life. And specifically the mimicking birds and animal sounds, as it's used in shamanism as a tool to fall into trance, and also having special skill of the animal or bird that you're calling for your journey. What
would be an example of that, of like embodying a super skill of an animal?
Let's say if it's an owl, if you do sound for your journey, and you're in a trance state, and you're doing all of a sudden, you're turning into owl. So meaning first you call the owl, and you feel that your totem animal enters you become an owl. And while you are in your imagination, that's a third word, we will talk about that. You become an owl, and you almost like awaken your inner skill, like in your DNA, because we have, we're, as we said, we're part of the earth. We've been through that process of being animal. You can see it in the 9 months of being inside of mother's womb. In a time lapse, it's a fastest version of kind of evolution. So yeah. we carry those skills. And in the owl, what is the superpowers of owl? Night vision, turning the head 360 degree, and flying soundless, quietly, right? And then if you need one of those skills or three of them, depends on which mission you are while you're journeying and which realm it is. If it's in the realm where you're at, you need to see through the darkness. You might invite owl that sees through that sees in the night. Or if you want to trick the hostile spirits and fly quietly, you also invite an owl. So it has that, like let's say something that perhaps people, also would understand. A lizard has sticky hands and legs, right?
Spider-Man.
Yeah, like a Spider-Man. So I used that while I was troubled coming back down, like descending from top of the mountain, the Rocky Mountain. I was hyper enthusiastic to go up, and I didn't realize that it was so hard to go down, and it was very dangerous. If I did a little mistake, I would slip down and then break my bones. It was really dangerous. So what I did, I started to shake because the fear started to consume my body. Then I thought, no, I need to be a lizard. At that point, I didn't know what the sound of.
But yeah, I was gonna ask you, what sound do they make? Like,
it's a high frequency. I sometimes hear it. It's high frequency they do, but I didn't do sound. But it was like in that state of emergency.
Yeah,
I invited the spirit of a lizard, and I became a lizard
with your intention.
Yes, another word, intention. So it's just. I was able to descend down so quickly. I had a trust that the earth is holding me. Nothing's going to be happening bad. And all of a sudden, I had such a muscles activated in all my four. It was like a legs, or all four hands, or four legs. They were communicating with each other. So there's something happening in your brain and nerve system that you are able to connect the things that you might not be connecting while you are processing it through your mind. That's why it's very important. Through the transcendental ecstatic states, you are operating in completely different realms. So that is an example of, what you can do. Being in this reality doesn't have to be all the time in your journeys. Or the owl version is for the journeys, when you're literally visiting the realms, the unseen worlds, where the world is quite different than this tangible. And
let's get into those realms. What sort of realms can people encounter when they're journeying through trance, or they're in a deep meditation? And I've had a lot of friends tell me, like, they go into these realms, and sometimes it's hostile, as you mentioned, or scary things that you encounter.
Yes. I would say it's so unique and individual. And I'm still learning in terms of, is there any fundamental, like the realms that we all can visit? And I would say yes. I'm still researching and learning about that. Or it is all so unique to each person. It also makes me to feel, yes, it might make sense. And it obviously has it's described in the concept of Sakha shamanism and in other many shamanic cultures, the three worlds, the energy of the environments. When it's a fear-based, love-based, and gratitude-based, they're all can happen. Either you can be in one of those, or you can be in both of those, and it could be like a combination of them. So it's very complex. It could be simple, it could be complex. And one of the scary realms that I visited was the realm of ancient ancestors. And the ancient ancestors, I thought that they are hostile spirits of lower world. We call them abahe. And they were ready to swallow me, literally like kill me. And what the shamans in my culture do, they survive, they fight. by drumming and singing and dancing. It's very intense. It looks like they're fighting. And I was in that survival mode for hours. But then afterwards, I found out my ancestors, this Save and Cherkov, Sakha and Tungus shamans, they stepped in and they negotiated with those ancient ancestors. They looked like a black, sticky liquid, like almost like an oil, coming from all over the corners, from all over the, whatever I look. And it wasn't like a hallucinative. It was just like a third eye vision when you close your eyes. And they negotiated with them, saying, she's still young. She wasn't supposed to go to this realm. Please forgive her. And she will learn how to communicate with you. So, and that just it led me to another answer. Wow, those spirits were not hostile. They came to teach me. They were not trying to kill me. That was something that I was doing in my head, that they were trying to kill me. No, they came to teach me, and it's painful. We'll learn through the pain. So, and it turned out to be those ancient ancestors were ancient ancestors of the earth. It's almost like all the mineral resources, all the life that ever went through this earth coming together, like super concentrated, like a oil. Oil is also the fossils, and I mean it's trees and animals and everything coming together in the layer of underground, right? So it's it was so clear to me that at that moment I just was not seeing certain things, and they came to teach me, and they were representing lower realm, but they were not hostile. And I was thinking, wow, what if there are no hostile spirits, like they would kill us? But it is something that very natural, like a earth, like a magma, like lava, like earthquake, like floating. When they're angry, when these spirits, the ancient ancestors, are angry, they can create the disaster, and that creates the death. It creates, catastrophe. And the people who don't know how to survive, if they didn't learn, if they're not smart enough and wise enough, and if they know how to physically to survive in these situations, they just die. It means that they killed us, or meaning they killed us, or meaning it's dangerous for our life. But it's actually a part of the cycle of life. So I looked at it that way, and it was like, so it made to me sense, like a huge sense, that perhaps something that we call hostile, it just comes from lack of our understanding and learning.
And there are certain shamans from your village and your culture that are also responsible with having that conversation or communication with beings from outside of the planet or extraterrestrials. And right now we're seeing, even in the US over there, you're seeing how all that conversation is changing right now, and more people are coming out with testimonials, stories, evidence. What's the conversation around that in your village and in your culture? Is it normalized? Is it just like part of life, that of course we're not the only beings here on the planet? What is that like?
I think the uniqueness of the environment of my homeland is there was no trace of civilization for a long time. It was like a pure, you could channel so purely whatever it is bigger than us, without any interaction of the civilization, of other frequencies and waves. And shamans of the ancient time, before the Russians came to us, before the civilization came to us, they were really powerful, and they were able to communicate It was part of their life, normal life, to believe that there is something higher than us. Throughout the Soviet Union impact and everything, there were certain shamans. Only 12 sky shamans can communicate, and Save was one of them. So he was literally saying that he does it. And one interesting thing that he said, only female human being can connect to female of the extraterrestrial beings. They also have a gender. It's very interesting. And male to males. And I think it existed even in the other part of the earth, all the time. I don't think that it's just that today we have a social media. Today we have access to web of internet where it's poured with a lot. Everything is just put down there, and it becomes part of our life. The speed of information spreading is so fast. So I think before it was the same. Perhaps before, even in the places like mine, when there was like a pure, there was no kind of distorted waves and signals that we create. They were there, and then the shamans were easily communicating with them. And moreover, there was a very interesting idea and also experience, in my personal experience. The extraterrestrials, they constantly give to us technologies, and they're chosen people whose portals are open, and those people are talented enough to translate it into human language, to translate it in a language of modern society, which is science, and deliver that, whatever message, whatever insight they downloaded from extraterrestrials, they just integrate it to this world. And look at this. Our world is full of incredible discoveries, scientific discoveries. Everything that we've created came from science and being creative in someone's mind, in someone's, ability to translate it and make it accessible. So I think, and then in this experience, these ancient ancestors were very angry at human beings and saying, we lost our patience. We're going to create a catastrophe where we're going to wipe people who are not able to survive, and all the strong ones will stay. And extraterrestrials were. And they're from the higher worlds. They're saying, no, we're giving technologies to human beings. We still have a hope. There are chosen ones. There are new generations coming. Those people are more open to receive it. And then it was like my body was like a platform for the meeting of these two worlds, higher and the lower, talking. I could hear their dialogue, and it wasn't a human language. I was just sitting like this, and then like doing, like our elders would do. And I remember that moment, our elders quite often in front of fire, they would sit with closed eyes and do like this and do.
They're hearing all the conversations.
They're doing something like in their inner world. There's like some inner agreement happening, and I had that moment in my life, and I thought, wow, this could be something big happening in somebody's body, like somebody's inner world. And I had no idea. I was like a little kid in around my playing around my grandfather, and my grandfather would sit like this and do this. As we say, there's entire universe inside of us, and there's the universe outside. We are part of it. So I believe in theory of fractals, like everything is inside of itself, and then repetitive, and just expands this way and goes this way, and it's endless toroidal. Anyway, so it's just like so fascinating to see how there are interesting interpretations and storytellings coming from individuals, from people from ancient time, from modern, and perhaps in the future we're going to listen to a lot of stories, inspiring stories like that. And perhaps this will lead humanity to a certain path, and we'll see how it is survival for us. We'll see it keeps unfolding, and I think it's in the end of the everything, it's all mystery, and this is the beauty of life, when it remains as a mystery.
Yeah. Wow. I know when you moved to America, a whole sort of new perspective of the world opened up to you. And in many ways, America is a hub for a lot of innovation and a lot of new technologies. So I'm wondering, from those technologies that are being sort of gifted to us from otherworldly beings that can benefit humanity, what are you seeing around you of these types of technologies that are assisting us, that we can take advantage of and say, we're being gifted this, how can we make the world better with the new emerging technologies in the world right now? What are you seeing?
Definitely, I would say the mental health. This is, I mean, I look at the human body as the most advanced device that carries the most advanced innovative technologies. And then we translate it into scientific language, and it becomes something like hardware that other people can have access to and learn. But then again, as I mentioned before in the beginning of our conversation, it might turn off the actual skill. So we too much rely on the machine. So for me, the learning mental health and seeing it as something that like energy going through the body, as our shamans would say, and then when body reacts to that energy, it becomes like a symptoms of mental health. And there's so much in explore in that field. And I think the psychedelics that are becoming legalized in this country will also open up a lot of interesting visions, ideas that could potentially, be helpful for the humanity. And I think the history repeats itself. I'm assuming there might be also, a lot of inventions that we have today might be opened up because of usage of certain substances that opened up the path, and the talented ones could see it. So everything that hardware, it's like a piece of art that doesn't have a spirit in it, and everything that I see in the nature that it invented by the universe, including us, it's a piece of art that has spirit in it. There's some combination of the energy. We call it kutsur in my homeland. Kutsur, the essence of everything. That if the device is created in a way, the hardware is created in a way that all the kutsur, manifestations of kutsur, going without any blockages through, and then it makes it to move and operate in a certain way. So we don't have enough knowledge to make the hardwares, all the piece of metal made machines to be as much sophisticated as the nature would do. So it's always, I think science is always behind the nature. And in fact, science, it learns about nature. It's a tool to learn. It's really like we're like a little kids wandering around and being curious, which is really beautiful itself. And I see if we talk about a particular technology, besides the inner technology that I talk, well, the hardwares, I think if there is something that and we're like kind of entering like a quantum physics that it's also not researched enough, explored enough. I think with all the quantum computers, supercomputers, chips and stuff, we're gonna see the existence of smaller particles and the way the energy works in those realms. And the shamanism, it's actually there were shamans who could work with molecules, atoms, electrons, neutrons, muons, the smallest particle that was discovered, the particle of God, captured in a collider in Switzerland. What else? It could be even more smaller particles. And then the human's body, I think it has such a potential to activate the energy that the smaller and smaller particles that we cannot capture by scientific tools, even like a thought. Okay, where is the thought resides? Where does it operate? Where is that cloud that stores the thought? How does it work? We have no idea yet, but we all are capable of doing it. So I think learning more about us, about the human potential, looking at it as a technology, like a walking hub of stored a lot of technologies, that where I think the humanity would benefit a lot without losing our natural skills.
And what about sound and healing and frequency healing? I mean, you're producing these sounds that, in a sense, are hitting all of our 60, 70 trillion cells in our body and changing the environment. So what have you found by activating your voice and giving out a frequency to the world? How can that contribute to more healing on the planet?
Oof, the sound, it's definitely not, for me, it's not just something like entertainment or part of the healing or just the integrative part of it. It's perhaps could be even foundation. Maybe, when we say sound healing, we play different instruments and we receive the external sound waves and they impact to water of our cells. But what if, the sound healing starts from internal world, and when you sing, you actually make the sound waves reverberating inside of your body, and it comes from you to your unique structure, to your unique chemistry, to your unique situation where there are blockages and open spots, the treasures, gems hidden. Again, I go with the forum what if, because I'm not a scientist that could be sure about certain things. It's all very mysterious when it comes into sound to me. And what if we can really not control, but be in a negotiation, or how to describe it? I don't want to use the word control, but it's something that you are able to reverse certain things in your body, and the things that you never thought that you can operate.
Yeah,
Let's
you're bringing
say
coherence to whatever there's dissonance.
It's almost like a symphony. It's almost like a song that every single person carries. That, again, coming back to ancestral songs that you can hear inside of yourself. What if through your own improvisational, even humming, certain tone and certain rhythm that you're tapping in, you just activate those potentials, those hidden technologies inside of your body, and you can even slow down certain process or activate certain process. You can heal yourself completely from devastating pains and even cancers. So there are a lot of interesting hypotheses around the sound, but what I'm really curious, it's again sound coming from us, not from external, but internally to external. And look at the cat. When cat comes and sits in a certain parts of the human body and purrs, there's this purring. It's like a sound healing. And what I discovered in the latest articles, science proved that the cats do purring in order to heal themselves. They regenerate their body. If their bones are broken or something, they're very active. They get injured, and they recover themselves through purring. It's basically a sound healing, inner sound healing. So I was just thinking, wow, what if human beings can do that for themselves by finding out their own ancestors' songs, that where they feel really ecstatic. That's why when you improvise, and then from your improvisational song, you feel really high, elevated, and activated, and that you have a shivers and you have a tears. That's where the healing happens, in my opinion. And I've been experiencing that, and I'm willing to explore that more, because as a human being and getting old, being in this physical body, there's certain pain in the body, and I'm literally taking it like a laboratory, doing experiments and seeing how the alternative tools such as sound can impact to reduce or reverse certain things.
And would you be open to improvise or channel with your attention and intention a song from your ancestors, for us to receive all those codes, all that healing, all that light that is coming through your voice, that can also help activate our voices as well?
Thank you. I gladly take it as a chance, an opportunity to bring my ancestors' voice here for your people. And in fact, I always, most of the time, have this element of improvisation, and it's the best part of the performances that I do on the stage.
Wow. I am in awe. I am in awe. I am in awe. That felt amazing. Just receiving all those codes. How did it feel for you with all that energy flowing through you from your ancestors?
It just feels so much grounding at the same time. Again, it's something like a three worlds. The lower world that grounds the survival energy. And when you transform fear, it becomes, you become like a warrior. And you become like a tree, that your roots are very strong. And then the trunk stays in the middle world. So you take your breath from the lower world, and then it touches your heart. So you feel this love, the tactile realm on all over your body. And then it takes you to the higher realms, to the realm of gratitude, mahtal, where you feel connected to the creator, something bigger than you. And it's all three worlds, like a tree, strong roots, a mighty trunk, and tall, the branches that touch the sky, that all becomes whole. You don't deny any of those worlds, but you see them as a whole, like one tree, standing strong in this earth.
And that is the true meaning of integration. And thank you for demonstrating and showing us what it looks like to integrate our past, and also even carrying those codes forward to the future, to the next generation. So Raven, I honor you. We end every show with a final segment called the Final Trio, which are rapid fire questions that you can answer in any way that you want. It's a fun segment.
Okay.
Before that, I would love to send people to connect with you. You mentioned some upcoming projects, anywhere that you would like to send people to connect and get to know your work more in depth.
Oh, should I do that now?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So everything that I do, it's on Instagram, first to be announced on Instagram, Snow Raven Official, everywhere on social media, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, X. I'm under Snow Raven Official, and I'm so thrilled to announce soon a crowdfunding for creating this app. I have a wonderful dream team right now coming together, driven by this serving a higher mission of bringing this, how we could bring the creative tools that might unlock people's self-expression, and that comes from indigenous people. So we are kind of creating a safe platform where the initial content is created by indigenous people who are indigenous speakers and artists and performers, and they know about their culture and they care about their culture. So this an amazing an educational and creative platform is gonna come out soon, and we call it Spiritual Growth App. It will have a lot of cool tools that will push you to do your routine and create your own rituals. So I'm very, very much excited about that. Very soon, we're gonna announce that project on my Instagram. And I just came out with a new album called Home, and we might apply for a Grammy 2025.
Wow. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, and then many more things, all the exclusive, interesting contents that I'm going to create. I'm going to create for the app. And so it's just, the ceremonial album that I'm working on these days, also very exciting. And also music for psychedelic assisted therapies that I'm crafting and designing these days, also going to come soon. There are many, many more. And, the most exciting moment, I'm becoming a music producer, learning how to deal with machine and technologies of modern life during an Ableton Live. So much fun. This heavy bass dubstep, with ancestral songs. Yes. Big fat yes for that. And I'm having a lot of fun with that.
Let's go. You are literally everywhere and doing everything all at once. So I honor you for that. You're an inspiration. And thank you for even accepting that responsibility and carrying forward such integrity and discipline and commitment. So I honor you, Snow Raven, first of all. And for the final trio, these are 3 questions. The first 2 are personalized to the guest, and the last one we ask at the end of every show. You can answer in any way that you want. The first one is, I know that your grandfather was one of the leaders of your village, and he was a great storyteller. What was the greatest story he ever told you?
The greatest story he ever told me was there was so many greatest ones, but the greatest. How when he was a child, he went to this special place where there was 9 graves of great shaman. There was a special place, and he got to almost like enter, and then those graves are on the air. We don't bury shamans under the ground like a normal people. They carry something that we've been doing traditionally before Russians discovered us. So you can enter the grave, and as a child he entered because he didn't know about the and it's such dangerous, so dangerous. And then he got what's that called? The parents who were they were so angry at him, and they were so scared at the same time that the great shamans would curse him. It's even forbidden to walk near to that place. It's so scary in my culture. And then he did that, and I was like, you literally did that? You were inside of grave, like you could see. And then he said, yeah, it was crazy. So so that's the greatest story of among the other stories, where he told me that he saw the flying objects and stuff.
All the aliens coming to say hello.
There are a lot of stories from other people, even recent one. People see the flying objects. Yeah, it's very strange, but I believe it exists.
100%. Well, 99. I'm not gonna say 100.
Yeah, I haven't seen any. So
the second question is, of all the many beliefs out in the world, what's the common truth?
Ooh, we're gonna find it out. I hope that at some level in my lifetime, we can build an amazing platform where we can find out that collectively. Me as a one person cannot say, oh, this is the common truth. The word common means there should be a collective ritual that will define it. And I'm dreaming about that. That's in the future.
I love that. I love that answer. And maybe to adjust it, it would be, what is your truth? Your biggest truth?
My biggest truth is there's no truth for me. There could be a common truth, but there's not like an ultimate truth in me. It's always liquid. It's mysterious. It's endless. It's infinite.
Like the raven adapting itself to many different environments.
Yeah, I would say like that.
Love that. So our final question today, so Raven, is, we call it the time capsule question. And it requires us to travel out 15, 20 years down in the future. I chose that time frame because that is going to be when the younger generations of today are going to be stepping into more leadership positions around the world. And you had the opportunity to create a time capsule. And this time capsule would be opened by the leaders of tomorrow, by the leaders of the future in around 20 years. And in that time capsule, you could include anything beyond your imagination. It doesn't have to be anything physical. But when these leaders open your time capsule, they're going to be equipped with the tools, the wisdom, and the knowledge necessary to carry out the new earth and carry out this new frequency that we're building for the planet. What would you put inside of this time capsule?
Very obvious. I would put a song of the earth that comes at that moment, kind of emptying myself and allowing, with a special intention, to sing a song of the earth. And then whatever comes through me at that moment, and if I had a chance to open up that capsule and sing it there and close it. So, and then the future leader opens it up, and it's like a sci-fi. The song flies out, and you can hear it. And then, oh my goodness, that would have been crazy scenario for music, video. Thank you for giving me an idea. That's
you got it.
Dope idea.
Let's do it.
Time capsule for the song coming out. Wow.
And there's a gold plate on top of the time capsule with your name on it and a question that you would leave behind for these leaders. What would it be?
Oh, the question. Oh, so like what I would ask from them, right?
Like a contemplative question for them, like something that would make them reflect on life in general.
Yeah, my question would have been also very obvious. What do you want to hand for the future generation? What song do you want to sing for future generation?
Done. We're getting that carved right now, engraved into that time capsule.
Please.
Maktal. Raven. Maktal. Thank you. I appreciate you and all of your infinite wisdom and your ability to imagine worlds, channel information beyond these realms. And you're just an inspiration. So I really appreciated our time together. Thank you so much.
So you are. Thank you so much for having me. Mahtal, on behalf of my ancestors to your ancestors, for contributing your energy and time and your imagination to create projects like this, to spread the wisdom and knowledge of people who carry so much about this, earth. And thank you so much for being one of the warriors of light and being from the same branch of mycelium web or web of life. Thank you.
Let's go. Thank you.